and we're trying it, my life would be very different today, as I'm a stage 3 breast cancer survivor. And when Rhonda um, showed me these patches a year ago, I was coming off of 9 months of chemo and 2 rounds of radiation, and I had pretty severe PTSD of that this was going to come back and I wasn't okay. And she said, let's try it. And so I put this on right below the back of my neck, 12 hours on to activate and 12 hours off to repair. And the first 2 days, Susan, I had the taste of metal coming out of my mouth. I was detoxing the chemo. On day 5, my skin got soft. And on day 10, the PTSD that I was dying went away. And I remember calling Rhonda saying, Rhonda, I don't know what you just gave me. I did not expect this to happen, but you have just changed my life. And we must go share this. We must go share this with everyone we know. And you're a doctor. We better go share it with every practitioner you know as well. And so over the last year, we have over 5,000 people that we are helping now. And I will say to you, just in the last 10 days, I have been bacterial free. I get chronic UTIs because my immune system has been so shot from the chemo, and it has taken a year to repair. 10 days free. And if anybody knows what it's like to have attacks for 6 months that an antibiotic won't cure, 10 days free, it's life changing. I have my life back right now. And the last thing I want to say is that my son has been coming every night for me to patch his back because he is recovered from autism. He's 23. And a lot of boys that recover from autism, what happens is that they get this chronic OCD, chronic attacks of just anxiety looping. And so he gets an X39 on his chest, the stem cells. He gets an Eon for inflammation, and he gets a Nirvana that stimulates something called your dopamine. And it has been life-changing for him. And so I am so excited to be here, Susan, and to tell my family's testimonial. And I want to thank Dr. Rhonda Donahue, PhD in nutrition, the smartest woman I know, for telling me to put one of these on. So thank you for asking.
Listen to you, it's just a joy, because there's always more, isn't there? Every week that we use these patches, and every week the people we care about use these patches, there's more. Thank you, Marcy. Thank you. Now, Rhonda, because I've never heard your stories and testimonials of, what you've experienced yourself and also people that you've worked with. So please tell us.
Well, thank you, Susan, for having me here today. And thank you, Marcy, for your testimonial. Yes, I have been wearing the X39 patch now for about almost, 14 months. And I'm very particular about products that I take and recommend, and I do have to try them first. So when I saw the X39 patch, I thought, wow, if this could work, this could really help a lot of people. And it's a huge industry. So I started wearing the patch. And from day one, I started having more energy, more mental clarity. Everything just looked brighter and clearer and crisper. I just felt this overall energy and light in my whole being. And that was great. But what really sold me on this was on day 5, I had a hip issue. I had pain in my left hip. It was like a drag and drop feeling with my leg. I was losing control of my leg. And on day 5, I noticed it stopped. It went away, and it has not come back. And I knew that it was doing something in my body. And I knew that, wow, if it could do this for me, what could it do for other people? And so I kept wearing the X39. I've been very consistent. I've always been a person that's an advocate of hydration, and that's very important while you're wearing the patch. I also take a multiple vitamin mineral, whole food, organic vitamin and minerals, so that helps as well. But the longer you wear it, the more things you start noticing. So on month 6, I noticed that my eye floaters were gone. And then what was really exciting was for the past 2.5 years, my hair was falling out. I brushed my hair and there'd be gobs of hair in the brush. And my hair was becoming very, very thin. And it took 7 months for the stem cells to work in that area. But one morning I looked in my brush and there was no hair. And so every day since then, there's either no hair or just a few hairs. So now my hair is getting thicker and growing much faster. Another thing that happened about 8 months was I had a numb toe from a 12-year ago bunion surgery that was numb. It was left numb all these years. And about month 8, I noticed that it wasn't numb anymore. So that was really interesting to me. And so up until that time, I had just been using the X39, and I decided to do a fast, a 30-day cleanse that including water fasting. And so I added the glutathione to help with a little bit further liver detoxing and also to help my immune system during this. And then I also added the SP6 to help control my appetite because I was only drinking water. So it helped control my appetite. I was maybe hungry 2 days for the 21 days of water fasting. And I contribute that to the SP6. So, I've been using both the X39 and Alavita now for about 4 months. And I noticed my skin's more hydrated. And I've been experimenting with this on scars and burns because I'm fair skinned. And when I scratch myself or I burn myself, I get a white raised scar. And so I have been putting them, the X39 during the day for 12 hours on a burn, for example, and I have before and after pictures. And then at night, I put the Alavita one on it. And within 5 to 10 days, depending on how severe the cut or burn was, there is either no scar or very, very slight scar that's but it's not white. It's like it blends in with my skin. So that's been really fun to experiment with. And, overall, I feel 20 years younger mentally and physically. I just have all this endurance and energy. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you. That's just spectacular. So now I'm thinking the only thing that either of you didn't discuss, because I could go into every one of those areas. Let me talk about elimination of pain. Just the biggest, most frightening thing about life, in my opinion. Because even when I had the worst illness in the world, which was asthma, and I could die at any minute, I wasn't dying that minute. But when you have pain, the pain is every second. So far in the 5 months that I've been using the patches, I'm a swimmer. I swim almost every day. I swim 66 laps every single time, and I'm swimming faster, and I have a lot more energy when I finish, but I've been tweaking myself. And I had an excruciating pain in my shoulder, and 2 Eon patches completely eliminated it in 15 minutes. And this is after 3 chiropractors couldn't make it go away. About a week later, I tweaked my knee, but now I already knew I had the solution upstairs. So I just had to, get up the steps from the pool, put the 2 Eons on my knee. And again, 15 minutes later, 0 pain, 0 discomfort. And a few days ago, I awakened, and for whatever reason, my toe was aching. And I put 2 Eons on my toe, and again, 15 minutes later, no discomfort at all. And this is what I call the KISS technique, where you take 1 Eon patch, put it right over the area of the greatest pain, and then you wait a few minutes, see if the pain is completely gone. And if not, then you put a second Eon with the edges of the patches touching and not overlapping. And again and again and again with my friends, people that have decided they want to be distributors and customers, and relatives of mine, etc., we are living without pain, or at least much less pain. And so to me, that's really the most remarkable thing. I never would have thought it was possible. So now, Marcy, if you would tell us a little bit more about the patches, that would be great.
I
Really.
would love to. And I'm going to talk about X39. And there are a few questions in chat. So I will hit some of the questions in chat as I'm talking. But this company is 15 years old, okay? And David started this technology, this light technology 15 years ago. And so there are some other patches out there, okay? But this is really third generation X39 stem cell activation patches. It took him 39 times to get the right frequency to do what? Elevate GHK copper peptide. That's a protein in our body that actually activates our stem cells, makes more stem cells, and resets them to a younger, healthier state. And so with this, which is only a year old, the company has just boomed. We've gone from like 50 million to 100 million in 1 year. But the backbone of the company is rich with many products, okay? And the technology is interesting. It's made out, it looks like a Band-Aid, but it's so much more. It's made out of organic crystals, which is basically amino acids, salt, and water. It's vertically integrated. So everything is made by David, either in San Diego or Ireland. And sourcing is all in-house. So it's wonderful that way. And when you actually put this patch right on the heat of your skin, it actually creates a light wave. It reflects it back to your skin. And that light wave is what elevates this GHK copper peptide, a protein in your own body that activates these stem cells. I like to think it much like, I remember Dr. Rhonda said, Marcy, do you think, when you go out in the sun and there's this short ultraviolet light that activates vitamin D? This is the same thing that it's doing in your body. Like when the sun activates vitamin D, we are activating this peptide that increases your stem cell activity. Now, what's interesting is most of your stem cells at age 30, I think you've lost 50%. At age 60, you've lost almost all of them. I'm 53. So after all that chemo, my stem cells weren't repairing and I was a sick girl. Once I started putting this on, it activated the stem cells. Those stem cells turned into these young, juicy, pluripotent stem cells, and the army started to march to repair. I don't know what's going on with your body, Susan or Rhonda. I do have an idea what's going on with mine, and so do my stem cells, and it starts repairing the most important thing first, and then the next, and the next, and the next. I like to say X39 is regeneration and repair. David Schmidt, our owner, inventor, and CEO, says when you put young stem cells on old tissue, you turn the tissue young again. So we're not just anti-aging, we're age reversing. And so this, make no mistake, this is the Cadillac of LifeWave. And it is stem cells for repair and regeneration. But what Susan was saying is you can put an Eon next to an X39, and that takes care of inflammation. And that together with stopping the pain. In chat, I heard someone talk about LifeWave. LifeWave is another one of our patches that you would wear, I'd say love the pain, with X39. So once again, X39 is all the repair, but the LifeWave is going to open up the pain spot and dump some natural pain reliever in to cut the pain while X39 is repairing. So in the scenario that Susan was talking about with the shoulder, it could look something like X39 for repair, Eon to stop that inflammation, and LifeWave to cut the pain as the repair is happening. And I believe I've answered the chat questions with that. And so just know that we always start with X39, and you wear it 12 hours on to activate and 12 hours off to repair. And then you put your next one on. And then we love it so much, we start to add some of the other patches because we can, and it's amazing technology. So I hope that kind of explains how the patch works, as well as
is the main patch that I've been wearing and most people have been focusing on wearing, and why that's important. First of all, I think it's interesting. I just came across this statistic yesterday that back in 2018, when I was actually researching the stem cell industry, it was a $6 billion industry, and it's a regenerative medicine industry. And they are predicting that by 2025, it's going to be a $16 billion industry. I think it's going to be higher than that. I really do. And most people are aware of stem cells and what they think of when they think of that is injections. And there are many types of injections, but they're very expensive, and insurance doesn't cover them. They're very invasive. So it leaves a lot of people out of that form of therapy. So with the patch, it's affordable and it's non-invasive and it's very safe and it's really easy to share with people. And like Marcy says, as we age, our stem cells decline. Starting at age 30, they start declining. And by the time you're in your 70s and 80s, you might have 5 or 10% of what you had when you were younger. So that's why as we age, we don't repair as well. And so the X39 is all about repairing. And in fact, the New England Journal of Medicine has stated that the #1 indicator of wellness is directly correlated with the amount of stem cells that you have in your body. And so stem cells are the master cells and the building blocks of the entire body. And they're the only cells. There's many cells in our body. I do live cell analysis. I actually teach it. So I'm looking under a microscope at blood cells all the time to see the condition. Are they healthy? Do they have the energy, right? So there's many types of cells, but the stem cells are the only ones that can divide over and over and produce new cells. And they also can divide and turn into specialized cells, other types of cells, if our body needs them. And they're the only cell that can do that. So we need those stem cells so that they can repair any organ and tissue in our body. And like Marcy said, when you go out in the sun, it creates this chemical process that creates more vitamin D. So we know we need light. Our cells need light. And the light emissions of all of our cells and tissues in our body creates this field around us called the biofield. And when our cells loses that light, that coherence, and that's the ability to create and receive light, then that involved physical tissue becomes dysfunctional or ill. So anyone who has any injuries or illnesses, their tissues and their cells are not receiving light. They're not giving light to each other, to the cells, because that's how they communicate too. And so we need light. We need to give ourselves light. And what's brilliant is there's acupuncture points in our body, also autonomic centers, which are specialized light emitting and light receiving transmissions or portals, so to speak. And so what's great, what's brilliant is LifeWave has utilized these points as the placement of the patches. And like Marcy said, there's nothing transdermal in the X39. It's placed on the skin. It has inside the patch, there's organically based nanocrystals mixture, and it's activated by our body heat. When you look under an X-ray, you see we are infrared bodies. We have infrared light, and so it's activated by the heat, and then the patch reflects specific wavelengths of light in the infrared and the visible spectra back into the skin, which increases the GHK copper peptides. And the GHK copper peptides, the research and documentation goes back 45 years. It's considered the holy grail of anti-aging and skincare. And you can Google on pubmed.gov and see all the research and documents. And one of their big functions is to increase stem cells in the body. But they also do a lot of other things, including all the skincare, reducing fine lines and hyperpigmentations and increasing collagen and elastin. It also, what's interesting, it also can rewrite over 4,000 genes and actually have DNA repair in our bodies. And another thing that I really like to let people know is that when you elevate these GHK copper peptides, they can actually improve the tissue repair in our lungs, even in our stomach lining. And with all the gastrointestinal issues going on today, this is big. This can really help a lot of people, and so much more. So there's so many benefits, like pain relief, and skin health, and wound healing, and energy and vitality. And also people are sleeping better. And that's because people are having a deeper sleep. They're actually dreaming, which is that REM state, that deep state, which when you're in that state, that's when your body is totally relaxed and really can repair and regenerate. And so people are experiencing that with the X39. The other thing is that there's a study, I always like to mention this, that the cognitive benefits, because LifeWave did a brain mapping study, and there were 12 participants, and it showed on all the participants significant reduction in hyperactivity and inflammation in the brain. And so I believe, and that's starting within first 7 days. So when you bring down inflammation in your brain, your body will follow. Our brain controls our body, what we think, what we feel. And so when we bring down inflammation in the brain, the body will follow and bring down that inflammation. And our bodies are constantly in a check and balance, trying to, be on top of any imbalance in our body. So it's important to keep hydrated, keep consistent, keep wearing the X39 patch, because the longer you wear it, the more things you're going to notice. If you think about it, if you're 50 years old and say you have 25% left of your stem cells left in your body, and you have to realize that you can't take a pill or put on a patch and within a few days or a few weeks, you're back to where you were 20, and you have all your stem cells back, because you've taken 50 years, you've been exposed to stress and radiation and toxicity and so forth. And so you need to give it time. And I always like to tell people, give it a year and watch what happens. Watch what happens physically and mentally and emotionally, the changes that happen, because we are seeing that from people from all walks of life, from doctors, from individuals, from athletes of all types. They're having great benefits. And I think that that's really important to really use the X39 as a staple, and then later add some of the other ones, learn about the other ones, because it can be overwhelming to try and learn about all of them all at once. And so that's what I'd like to share about the X39, and I love it. I'm planning on taking it the rest of my life.
That's right. Don't try to take our patches away. We will not let you, in terms of a benefit and improvement.